Hawkwing's Journey, Chapter 15. The Dawn Patrol had just returned, reporting no sign or scent of the rogues on SkyClan territory. Even so, Hawkwing was still aware of deep uneasiness within the clan. Eckersong had still received no further visits from StarClan, and every cat knew that their future was desperately uncertain. At the foot of the rock pile, Sharpclaw was organising the hunting patrols. Sparrowpelt, you lead one, he instructed, and Waspwhisker, you take another. I'll lead the third. Leafstar wants senior warriors to go out more, just in case we run into any of the rogues. Right, Sharpclaw, Sparrowpelt meowed, sliding out his claws. I'd be delighted to run into them. I could use some extra fur to line my nest. Hawkwing, you're with me, Sharpclaw continued, as the cats began to divide into 3 groups. You too, Darktail. We know you can fight, but I haven't seen your hunting technique yet. Gladly, Sharpclaw, Darktail responded with a brisk nod. Hawkwing was pleased too that his father had chosen him for his patrol. Maybe he's not so angry with me anymore. While Sharpclaw was supervising the departure of the other patrols, Darktail sidled up to Hawkwing and stood so close that their pelts were brushing. Have you seen your friend this morning? He asked Hawkwing, angling his ears toward Pebblepaw, who was chatting with Rain over their fresh kill a few tail lengths away. Immediately Hawkwing's pelt grew hot with embarrassment. My friend, he muttered. Pebblepaw, I've seen you staring at her. Darktail meowed, a gleam of amusement in his eyes. Don't try to tell me you don't like her. Hawkwing scrabbled on the ground with his forepaws. You need to talk to her more and figure out what your feelings are, Darktail continued. You won't get any closer to doing that by avoiding her. I'm not avoiding her, Hawkwing mewed defensively. And hedgehogs fly, Darktail scoffed. Besides, from the way Pebblepaw looks at you, she needs to sort out her feelings too. Hawkwing blinked with a mixture of hope that Darktail might be right, and awkwardness that the rogue was forcing him to discuss it. I don't think so, he murmured. Darktail flicked Hawkwing's ear with the tip of his tail. Either Pebblepaw likes you back, or she doesn't, but you need to know the truth, so you can make a decision before it's too late. With a massive effort, Hawkwing let out a huff of laughter. I'm still a young cat, he mewed, and Pebblepaw is still an apprentice. It's way too early to start thinking about time running out. I'll never admit it to Darktail, he added to himself, but I have started to think about the future. It feels really weird. Darktail shook his head, still amused. That's not what I meant. Hawkwing realised there was something odd about Darktail's tone of voice. Whether I'm with Pebblepaw or not can't be that serious, can it? He asked. Of course it can, the rogue Tom replied, his voice still dark and ominous. It is the most serious choice. You can't afford to make a mistake when choosing which cats to have by your side. To Hawkwing's relief, before he could say more, Sharpclaw called to them to head out on patrol. As the other 2 groups had climbed the trails to hunt in the forest above the gorge, Sharpclaw led his cats downstream towards the stretch of shrubs and spindly trees that grew on either side of the river where the gorge widened out. Hawkwing hoped that this would be a good opportunity to straighten things out with his father, but his belly churned with anxiety at the thought that Sharpclaw might snap at him again. Besides, he didn't want to talk about anything important with Sharpclaw where Darktail might overhear. Instead, Hawkwing concentrated on picking up the traces of prey, hoping that he might impress his father with a good catch. As they slid into the scrubby undergrowth, Sharpclaw halted, then plunged in the shadow of an elder bush and emerged with a mouse dangling from his jaws. Good job, Darktail mewed admiringly. I never even smelled it. Sharpclaw twitched his whiskers. Figures. Hawkwing could see his father was still not impressed with Darktail. He wished the white rogue would catch something, if only to dispel the frosty atmosphere that spread through the patrol. When Sharpclaw scratched earth over the mouse so it could be collected later, the patrol moved on. Padding alongside the river, Hawkwing came to a spot where the bank had crumbled away into a sandy spit of land stretching out into the current. A vole was scrabbling around among the pebbles. Hawkwing dropped into the hunter's crouch and began to creep up on his prey when something white flashed past him. He saw Darktail hurl himself off the bank and land on top of the vole, crushing it between his forepaws. I smelled that one, he announced, as he picked up his fresh kill and leaped back onto the bank. Hawkwing tried not to be annoyed that Darktail had stolen what had clearly been his prey. What matters is that the clan is fed, but it was still irritating, especially when he had hoped to show off his hunting skills to his father. The patrol padded on, getting further and further from the camp. Hawkwing became more alert still, his pelt prickling with apprehension as he wondered if they might meet the rogues again. A flicker of movement in the bushes drew his attention, but it was only a rabbit. hopping into the open with no idea of the danger it was in. But clearly if any cat startled it, it would head straight back into the safety of the undergrowth. "Hawkwing," Sharpclaw whispered. When Hawkwing glanced at his father, Sharpclaw waved his tail in a wide sweep, while he angled his ears toward the rabbit. "He wants me to circle around and come up behind it." Hawkwing set off, careful to keep his distance from the rabbit, and made sure that the breeze wouldn't carry his scent towards his prey. He noticed that Sharpclaw gestured with his tail for Darktail to keep back. Reaching the bushes, Hawkwing burrowed into them, creeping along cautiously until he could peer out from underneath a branch and spot the rabbit still peacefully nibbling at the grass. He risked raising his tail above the foliage to tell Sharpclaw that he was in position. At once, Sharpclaw let out a ferocious growl and sprang at the rabbit. It let out a squeal of terror and dashed for the bushes with Sharpclaw racing after it. Hawkwing tensed his muscles. "I mustn't lose this one." The rabbit fled into the bushes, almost flinging itself into Hawkwing's paws. Hawkwing gripped it with his forepaws and killed it with a rapid bite to its neck. Warm triumph flooded through him as he emerged from cover with his prey in his jaws. "Well done, both of you," Hawkwing meowed, though his voice was cool, and Hawkwing wondered if the rogue wasn't too thrilled to see him and his father working together as a team. But why would that bother him? As Hawkwing padded up, Sharpclaw gave him an approving nod. Though he said nothing, Hawkwing felt that perhaps the tension between him and his father was beginning to ease a little. But Sharpclaw still seemed distant as the three cats made their way back to camp. "I wish I could talk to him," Hawkwing thought, thinking back to his conversation with Cherrytail, "but I don't know what to say anymore." When they deposited their prey on the fresh kill pile, Sharpclaw bounded away towards Leafstar's den, while Darktail headed off to talk to Rain. Hawkwing couldn't help feeling disappointed that Sharpclaw hadn't been warmer after they had hunted so well together. He remembered what Darktail had said to him before they set out, about cats needing to choose who they wanted by their side. "Maybe my father's chosen not to be by my side," Hawkwing thought miserably. Could that be true? Then he gave his pelt a shake, determined to be more cheerful. "It can't be true. Sharpclaw and I are kin. Whatever has happened between us, that loyalty must always be there." His mood lightening, Hawkwing told himself eventually he and his father would be okay together. "Neither of us is going anywhere. We have our whole lives to work this out." Darktail's words had made Hawkwing aware of something else too. He decided it was time to go looking for Pebblepaw, and found her crouching beside the river where it scoured out the bank into a shallow pool. She kept dabbing her paw into water, sending up a shower of glittering drops. "I never noticed how her fur shines," he thought, "and the way she moves her paw is so graceful." Pebblepaw looked up as Hawkwing padded up to her. "Hi," she greeted him. "Did you know there are fish in here? But they won't let me catch them." Hawkwing looked into the pool and saw minnows, tiny silver flashes darting here and there near the sandy bottom. He watched them, not looking at Pebblepaw, as he mewed, "I wanted to tell you something." "Okay." Pebblepaw sounded puzzled, but still friendly. Hawkwing dug his claws nervously into the ground. I wanted to say how sorry I am about the way I treated you after Duskpaw died. I want you to know that I never actually blamed you." He risked a glance at Pebblepaw and saw she was blinking at him happily. "I kind of figured that out," she responded. "You did?" Hawkwing was relieved to hear this. Pebblepaw half turned away, obviously embarrassed, which made Hawkwing feel embarrassed in his turn. Yet at the same time, excitement was tingling through him. "Well, that's it, really," he went on. "I guess we can be friends now." Pebblepaw gave him a flickering glance. "I guess." Hawkwing dipped his head to her and retreated, feeling Pebblepaw's gaze following him as he headed for his den. He felt better now that he told her he was sorry, but he was still confused when he thought about her. "I wonder if she feels just as confused when she thinks about me." That night, Hawkwing was still feeling a prickle of excitement about his talk with Pebblepaw when he settled down into his nest to sleep. He wanted to stay awake and think about her, but he was exhausted, his limbs aching after the hunt. His clanmates were caught up around him too, the fear and tension of the night before beginning to ease. The clan had fed well, and the patrols had found no traces of rogues or raccoons. Maybe everything will be okay after all. Hawkwing jerked awake. He sat up in his nest, not sure at first what had roused him. Then he heard it again, the creak and rustle of bushes coming from overhead, as if some creature was pushing its way through the undergrowth. Hawkwing's first instinct was to arouse his clan, but then he realized that every cat was asleep and wouldn't thank him for disturbing the whole clan if the sound meant nothing. Rising to his paws, Hawkwing picked his way across the den, slipping silently between Sandy Nose and a gently snoring rabbit leap, and emerged onto the trail outside. There was a little more moonlight than on the night before, but the frosty shimmer revealed nothing moving as far as Hawkwing could see. A gentle breeze was blowing from the far side of the gorge, bearing nothing except the familiar scents of the forest. Hawkwing was about to give up and go back inside when he heard the rustling sound again, coming from the top of the trail. Could it be raccoons? He asked himself, tensing. Or rogues? Or dogs? Or even two legs? He tested the air, but could still pick up nothing unusual, nothing alarming. Then the breeze shifted, blowing now from the top of the gorge. Now scent flooded over Hawkwing so strong that it was unmistakable. Cats. As Hawkwing stared in horror, dark shapes appeared at the top of the cliff, flowing like water as they swarmed down the trails. More and more of them appeared, more cats that he had imagined in his worst fears. He caught a glimpse of moonlight shining on the pelt of the silver-grey Tom. Rogues, he realized. The rogues who attacked us on patrol. But there are more of them now. So many more. They may outnumber us. His heart pounded as he realized what was happening. Rogue cats were attacking the Sky Clan camp.